I'm Steve Dangle, and you're listening to Stick to the Pod.
Hello and welcome back everyone. Stick to the Pod, episode 22. Got loads to get through, so we're just going to dive straight into this because we're going right back into the weekend of Saturday the 16th of March. Let's go through the fixtures of that weekend. We'll go through the results and the scorers, and we'll go from there. Like I say, a lot to go through. Don't want to keep you too long, but let's just see where this takes us. So first of all, like I say, Saturday the 16th of March, we have the two games, Hull and the Stars in Hull, and Sheffield play the Blackburn Hawks. Obviously, it's been a few weeks since then, so you will already know what happened. So for obvious reasons, I am going to start with the Sheffield v Hawks game. The Hawks have been on a bit of a burner since hammering the Stars in the Cup. Granted, the fixtures have been very, very kind. Very, very, very kind. Their run-in from the Cup final has probably been the easiest out of the lot. Probably thankfully that they weren't in the league title run, because with that run-in they would have more than likely took the league by all accounts, because that's pretty much the run-in they had was that pretty much that easy. They did run out 9-3 victors over the Sheffield Scimitars. Jansen, Reid and Wickens getting on the score sheet for the Sheffield Scimitars. And your usual suspects, like we've been saying all season long, you are going to notice a pattern. You are going to start seeing a lot of the same names for certain teams pipe up week after week, night after night. Royd's getting 2, Barnes a hat-trick, Riddick, Thacker, Watson and Streetley also on the score sheet. Barnes has turned it on in the last 5-6 games of this season, showing that the Hawks do really mean business moving into playoffs and like the quarterfinals and the finals weekend if they make it. And then the other game, I was there, Hull Jets and the Billingham Stars. The Stars were requiring just the 1 point to claim the league title, and yes, they did that with an absolute phenomenal performance as well. 3-0 victors, Walls, Moss and Sykes on the scoreline. The Stars were clinical in everything they did. They were clinical in their own D-zone, shutting out when they had to, stepping up when they needed to, trapping in the neutral zone when they needed to, having lots of offensive O-zone time, so spending lots of time in the O-zone, maybe not getting shots on goal, but dominating the puck, controlling the puck, and really never really give Hull a sniff all night long. And Tom Brown, good for his shutout. And that was that. A 3-0 victory for the Stars, and the league title was coming back to Teesside. It was fantastic. I managed to do quite a lot of recording for it, which the Stars have used, which was great. But yeah, good to see them finally get over the line. They've been dominant all season long, by far, in a way, the best team this season. As they always say, the league table never lies, which I'm going to have a conversation with you about a little bit later on, because I think sometimes it just doesn't always give you the true picture of a season. However, it is the Stars. They are the champions of the NHL North morally. They will go to Coventry to play against Streatham in the National League Cup final, or League final, to find out who the best NIHL North 1 team is. I'm not sure how you can find out who the best is when it's 3 weeks after your last game, and a lot of players for either team will have booked holidays or even gone back home or whatever. Anyway, we move into the Sunday because there's still a lot of crunch fixtures left. Teams battling for position. Hawks chasing down the Barons for second place. The Warriors desperately fighting the Hull Jets for that 5th place. Depending on how your matchups were going to be, you could have had the Warriors versus the Hawks, the Dragons versus the Jets. So still a lot to play for. So moving into Sunday, a very hungover Billingham Stars took on Solihull Barons. A very sloppy start from the Stars, as you'd expect. I could tell you there was probably a lot of bad heads, a lot of heavy legs at the start of that first period. Otterson jumped onto 2 chances, 2-0 up very quickly, the Barons. Stars got themselves very much back into it, and then a late power play goal for the Barons gave them a 3-2 victory. So yeah, Otterson 2 goals and Sodden getting 1. Moss and Joe Dowdle for the Stars. Hawks carried on that impressive form that I spoke about earlier. Home victory over the Nottingham Lions, beating them 7-1. Thacker, Watson, Cross, Lutwhite, Crawley, and another couple from Barnes as the 7 goal scorers for the Hawks. So a 7-1 victory for them. Birchinall getting on the score sheet for the Lions. And then we have the Widnes Wild and the Deeside Dragons. They played out a very close encounter for the Derby game. Dragons coming 5-4 victors over the Wild. Again, your usual suspects, your McKinneys, Hayjacks, Jesson, Parsons and King on the score sheet for the Dragons. The ever-impressive Cal Carruth on the score sheet for the Wild, along with Thompson, Barlaw and Maisie. And then the final fixture of the weekend saw the Whitley Warriors host a depleted Hull Jets. They weren't as strong as they were the previous night. They go to Whitley Bay, they lose 6-1. The Warriors all guard starting to come through now for them. Obviously we know they brought Holland, Wood, Barnes and Edgar all back, brought the old guard back to have a real push at the playoffs. So they're going to be there or thereabouts. They ran out 6-1 victors over the Jets. Barnes getting 2, Ross, Edgar, Harley, Ord all on the score sheet, and the Morris was on the score sheet for the Jets. So just to quickly run through those results from this weekend of the Saturday the 16th of March. Hull 0, Stars 3, Sheffield 3, Hawks 9. Sunday the 17th of March, Stars 2, Barons 3, Hawks 7, Lions 1, Wild 4, Dragons 5, Whitley 6, Jets 1. And also the weekend the Stars claim the league title. Their first in 12 years. So moving on to weekend Saturday the 23rd of March. This is the final weekend of the season, I believe. Yes, it is. This is the final league games of the season. There was only one team to play a double header, and that was the Warriors. They went to Nottingham on the Saturday. They came out 6-3 victors over the Lions. Edgar getting 4 and Lucas and Finlayson also getting on the score sheet. A victory that you'd expect from the Warriors. And then moving down we have the Sunday fixtures, Sunday the 24th of March. Some big games here, a lot of things could be happening. Warriors had to beat Stars to finish above Hull. Sheffield had to beat Hull to have a chance at the playoffs. Hull had to beat Sheffield and hope Stars beat Warriors to finish 5th. And Solihull and the Hawks played each other to battle that out for 2nd. So like I say, a lot to play for going into the Sunday, which is great for the division. It's what you want to see, and let's hope we see a lot more of it as we move forward. Obviously, a lot of things can happen in the summer, and we know what British ice hockey is like in the summer. I haven't decided how I'm going to move forward through the summer, whether I'll jump on, record a few bits and bobs in regards to rumours and stuff I've heard. I will put a little bit at the end of this episode about things that I've heard and what could possibly happen, just for you to keep an eye out on social media and just to keep your ears to the ground of stuff that may or may not happen. Anyway, back onto Sunday the 24th of March, the final day of the league campaign. Stars are already champions from the win over the Hull Jets the previous week, so they move into the final weekend with not a lot to play for. Yep, it was just a small matter of the Warriors, who had everything to play for, and you could see that in the performance. Stars didn't have that jump, they didn't need that jump. I know it's a derby game, but you've just had an epic 32 league game campaign with a chance to rest up a little bit before some bigger games to come. And it was a 5-2 victory for the Warriors. Elder getting on the score sheet for the Stars, Edgar getting 2, Ord, Riyad Grigors and King all scoring for the Warriors. And after about 3 years, we finally got the battle that everyone wanted to see, and that was Barnes and Paddy Grigors go at it. And the bigger man, Barnes, probably takes the edge, overpowering Paddy in that scrap. But great to see. It's been talked about for a long time. They did it at centre ice, and that's that. That's all said and done. Deeside played the Wild. Another derby game to finish the season. Deeside ran out 6-1 victors at home to the Wild. Parsons, Kennedy, Jesson with 2 and Shaw, Williamson for the Wild. 2 of the worst teams for updates in the world, Sheffield versus Hull I've got a scoreline of 4-2 for the Hull Jets, but I'm afraid your goal scorers are thin on the ground. But with Hull, you're looking at guys like Hagger, Beach, Kent, but he is banned due to an incident in the Billingham game, altercation with the official. But yeah, unfortunately, Nottingham, Sheffield and Hull are certainly bottom of the league for updates. Don't get a lot from them, but yeah, not the best. It's not too difficult at the end of a game to put a result and the goal scorers out there, or even do a little match report with your goal scorers in there. But then I don't think it's difficult for any team just to put a match report on the website and at least list both teams' goal scorers. Maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe moving into next season, game day will be fully up to spec and we won't have any issues with getting game information. The final game of the weekend was the battle for second place, and surprisingly to many, the Barons take the victory 5-3 over the Blackburn Hawks and that second place. More surprisingly again, no Otterson on the score sheet. However, I did see that he's picked up 5 assists, 1 for each goal. Webb, Moody and White with 2 were the goal scorers for Solihull, and Blackburn had White, Barnes and Pollard. So that was it then. So that was the league campaign finished. So what we'll do is I'll run through the league table, because I am going to try and cover the second division as well, just to keep everybody up to date. Before we move into the playoff fixtures, let's have a run through the league table. And we have top of the tree, champions of the NHL North, Billingham Stars, 32 games played, 48 points on the board. I would say by far and way better than anybody else in the division, but the league table has them down as only 2 points better off than Solihull. But let's be honest, way better than anybody else. They went on a run of 16 to 18 games unbeaten. Obviously they got over the line with the league title, and obviously results weren't that bothering to them. I think the league table does flatter the rest of the league a little bit, because like I say, I think the Stars were far better than anybody else. Like I said, played 32, 48 points, scoring 183 goals, and the only team in the division not to concede 3 figures with only 79 conceded. So the full record shows 24-8 for the 32 games. Second place is Solihull Barons, 23 games, won, 9 lost, 46 points, 154 goals scored. So what was that, about 30 goals behind the Stars, and 114 conceded. Third place, the impressive Hawks, from obviously winning the Morley Cup. Obviously we spoke about everything just falling in their lap for the cup run, where the week before the Barons got injuries and suspensions, and then they had to play Hawks in a cup semi-final, and then come cup final, Stars plagued with injuries. Everything just fell in the Hawks' lap for that cup run, but fair play to them. They did a number on both teams, and rightly so, and deservedly so, lifted the Morley Cup. So the Blackburn Hawks did finish third, 32 games played, 22 wins, 10 losses, 162 goals scored, 100 goals conceded. Fourth place, the D-Side Dragons, 32 games played, 20 wins, 11 losses, 1 overtime loss for 161 goals scored and 129 conceded for 41 points on the board. Fifth place, probably a shock, one of the bigger shocks of the season. The Warriors down in fifth, 32 games played, 18 wins, 13 losses, an overtime loss, 123 goals scored and 108 conceded for 37 points on the board. Sixth place, Hull Jets, 32 games also played, 18 wins, 13 losses, overtime loss with the 1, scoring 107 goals, conceding 110, and also finishing on 37 points, but losing out to the Warriors on head-to-head. Seventh place, which I think they've been there all season long, as we've mentioned on most weeks. Seventh place is the Widnes Wild, also 32 games played, 9 wins, 22 losses, an overtime loss, 88 goals scored, and 165 conceded for 19 points on the board. Yep, a long way off sixth place. Eighth place and the final playoff spot, the Nottingham Lions, 32 games played, 5 wins, 23 losses, 4 overtime losses, 89 goals scored, 176 conceded for 14 points on the board. And lastly, the Sheffield Scimitars, 32 games also played, everyone completing in fixtures this year. 5 wins, 24 losses, 3 overtime losses, just 87 goals scored and 173 goals conceded for 13 points. Bit unlucky for some as they miss out on the playoffs. So let's just have a look to see what that brings us for the playoff quarterfinals. So we have the first seed Billingham Stars against the number 8 seed Nottingham Lions. Second seed Solihull Barons against 7th seed Widnes Wild. Third seed Blackburn Hawks against 6th seed Hull Jets. 4th seed Deeside Dragons against 5th seed Whitley Warriors. So yes, some interesting games there. Games that you'd expect the Stars to win comfortably, the Barons to win comfortably. Hawks you'd expect to win, but I think they'll have a bit of a battle. And the Deeside Dragons, well, I think it's probably the only fixture that is 50-50. Anyway, what we'll do now is we'll quickly move over to the Ladler, get their league campaign finished. So we'll rattle through their remaining fixtures. I'll just do them in a long list, do my best to try and not forget anything. But we are going back to Saturday the 16th of March. Altrincham Aces 3, Nottingham Lions 2. Kingston Sharks 4, the Billingham Buccaneers 6. The Sheffield Titans 4, the Coventry Blaze take this in overtime 5. Moving to Sunday, the Bulldogs lose out at home to Ladler champions Telford Tigers NIHL 2. 8. Nottingham Lions 2 lose out in a shootout with fellow strugglers Kingston Sharks on a shootout 5-4. Second place and Ladler runners up Sutton Sting beat the Aces 4-1. Moving on to Saturday the 23rd of March, again the last weekend of the league campaign. Coventry Blaze NIHL Blaze beat the Aces 5-1. The Sutton Sting beat Bradford 6-3. Moving into Sunday, the Aces lose out on home ice to the Titans 7-5. Kingston Sharks lose out to Telford Tigers 2-11-0. And the last game of the weekend and the Ladler division sees the Nottingham Lions lose out in a shootout to the Sutton Sting. So what we'll do is we'll run into their league table now and just see where everyone finished and what the playoff permutations are. Right then, so with just the one loss, the Telford Tigers racked up the NIHL second division, North 2, quite early. 32 games played, 31 wins, 1 loss, 229 goals scored and 71 against for 62 points. Second place, the Sutton Sting, 32 games played, 26 wins, 5 losses, 1 overtime loss, 200 goals scored, 79 goals against with 54 points on the board. Coventry Blaze NIHL side, 32 games played, 22 wins, 9 losses, 1 tie, 126 goals scored, 86 conceded. League newcomers Billingham Buccaneers in 4th position. What a season they have had. Only got stronger as the season went on. Some very impressive youngsters there, and I also know Stars did take a couple permanently. Such as Ben Green, how he was gone for a long period before his ban. He was with the Stars quite a bit, and then due to injuries obviously to Ian Brown, they took Lucas Dowdle for a long period of time as well. So a mightily impressive season for the Billingham Buccaneers. Like others, 32 games played, 18 wins, 11 losses, 1 overtime loss and the 2 ties, for obvious reasons, as we spoke about earlier in the season. 123 goals scored, 85 goals conceded. So very good defensively from the Stars. Third best defensive record in the league. Scoring goals though is not being the strongest point. I think they're actually only 4th best out of the table of 9 for the Buccaneers. So that is somewhere where they'll need to work getting the puck in the net. And I'm sure that'll be something the coaches are working on this summer, especially with recruitment happening throughout the summer. So 5th place, the Sheffield Titans, 32 games played, 16 wins, 13 losses, 3 in overtime, 150 goals scored, 152 conceded. 6th place, Altrincham Aces, 32 games played, 11 wins, 18 losses, 2 in overtime, and the tied game which they had with the Buccaneers due to ice issues, scoring 115 goals, 155 conceded and 25 points on the board. The Bradford Bulldogs, also 32 games played, 11 wins, 19 losses, 2 losses in overtime, 136 goals scored, 178 conceded and 24 points on the board. 8th place and the final playoff position is the league's other newcomers, the Kingston Sharks, with 32 games played, 6 wins on the board, 25 losses, an overtime loss. They managed 100 goals this year but conceded a whopping 215 and 13 points on the board. And the Basement Boys, the Nottingham Lions, 32 games played, 1 win, 28 losses, 3 overtime losses, just the 72 goals scored and a whopping 234 goals conceded for 5 points on the board. So where does that leave us in the playoffs? Who is playing who? So let's just have a quick look there. So the quarterfinals looks like this. Number 1 seed Telford Tigers will play against 8th seed Kingston Shark. Number 2 seed Sutton Sting versus 7th seed Bradford Bulldogs. 3rd seed Coventry NHL Blaze versus 6th seed Alty Aces. And probably the tie of the round, 4th seed Billingham Buccaneers against 5th seed Sheffield Titans. And so that is it for NIHL League Hockey this season. So let's move into our first talk about playoffs. It's playoff quarterfinals. Let's go run through it. What we'll do is we'll run through the ladle of quarterfinals first, and then we'll get back into the morally as we head into this weekend's playoff final weekend in Sheffield. I'm excited. I know a lot of you are excited, and I can't wait to have a lot of conversations with the fans around the league this coming weekend. I will be recording some content, going to try and do as much recording as I can, having chats with players, fans, coaches, officials. We'll just see how it goes. Whether any of it I can post and put out there, I don't know. For obvious reasons, I will only be recording off my phone. So anyway, back at it. Let's get into it. As we would expect, the Telford Tigers ran riot over the Kingston Sharks and booking their place at Sheffield. They run out an aggregate score winners of 21-5, 11-2 first leg, 10-3 second leg. No shocks there. Second game, Sutton Sting, Bradford Bulldogs. Again, no shocks. Also running out 21-5 aggregate winners, 11-5 first leg, 10-0 second leg. And still no shocks to be Coventry Blaze versus Aldringham Aces. The Blaze take the first leg 8-0, tie the second leg 3-all, running out 11-3 victors. So that leaves the last game, and probably the closest game of all, as we would expect, and that was the Billingham Buccaneers versus the Sheffield Titans. Managed to get there for the end of the first and the other 2 periods of the Buccaneers-Titans game. It was a great game. It was 1-0 to the Titans when I turned up. Great to watch. You could hear, even for the few fans, parents or whatever that turned up for the Titans, you could tell it was different. You could tell it was playoff hockey. There was a bit of an edge to it. And the Billingham Buccaneers running out 6-2 victors in the first leg. That home advantage really paying off as they move into the second leg in Sheffield on the Sunday. Was a 3-3 tie, and the Buccaneers take it as a 9-5 victory on aggregate. So what does that mean for the playoff weekend? Well, I'll tell you what that means. First game up in Sheffield, it will be 10 a.m. The Telford Tigers 2 versus the Buccaneers of Billingham in their first season, their first playoffs, and they're at their first playoff finals weekend. So a massive congratulations to all the players. I know a lot of them. I know some of them very well. So a huge congratulations and to the coaching staff. They had a lot of fingers getting pointed at them early in the season, with the team being a very rough team, a very physical team. A lot of teams not liking it, which I find hilarious because Telford was one of those. Yet we all know what Telford are like. It was certainly interesting to see where Telford go from this weekend. Will they actually have the coconuts to step up to NIHL North 1 and see if they've got the mantle to play the way they play in that division? So that'd be certainly interesting. but we'll cover that a little bit later on, or even next week after the playoff finals. The second game, which will be played at 5 p.m, sees the Sutton Sting versus the Coventry Blaze. And now looking through the fixtures between the two of them, they too have also played some fantastic games this season. So there should be two great games for fans of NIHL North 1 teams who don't really get to see much Division 2 hockey, that you're going to be treated to two fantastic games of hockey. If I'd have to predict, I think the Buccaneers are a team to avoid. But if Telford play their game and their skill game, I think they'll have just a little bit too much for the newbies of Billingham. And the Sutton Sting and the Coventry Blaze, I can actually see an upset there, and I can see a Blaze victory in that game, leaving a Telford Tigers versus Coventry Blaze final on the Sunday. But to be honest, if I saw Billingham Buccaneers in a final, I would not be shocked at all. They're not the easiest team to play against. Very, like I say, a very physical side. They move the puck very well. They've got a lot of speed up front, and they've got some some classy veterans in the side. Even lads who aren't that old, who have been around a long time, you can consider as veterans. Like Darren Stattersfield and Ross Hadlin in defence for the Buccaneers is as good as most NIHL North 1 defence lineups. They've got a fantastic young netminder in Jacob Hammond. They've got Anthony Price, the ex-Billingham star, who won the league with them all those years ago, 12 years ago, who plays on the line quite a lot with two youngsters, helping guiding their futures with a great, fantastic hockey brain. So like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers sprung a surprise, but then I do think the Tigers will have a little bit too much for them. So, moving back into the Morley Conference, and what does the quarterfinals have in store for us? So I will quickly run through the quarterfinal fixtures again of the Morley. So it was D-side versus Whitley, Hull versus the Hawks, Nottingham Lions against the Billingham Stars, and the Widnes Wild versus the Solihull Barons. I'll start with the first game of the weekend, which was the Nottingham Lions. Their available ice time meant 1:20 in the afternoon face-off on the big pad in Nottingham. Stars, I'll talk about the fixture actually at the end. Stars run out 5-0 victory. As easy as you like, Grittins 2, Elder, Walls and Galloway. Other fixtures, D-side 4, Whitley Warriors 6. Quite a close game there. McKinney and Kennedy getting a hat-trick. Holland bagging 4 goals for Whitley. He'll be very valuable moving forward if they progress. Queenan and Ross. Hull and the Hawks. Hagger hat-trick. Crawley getting 2 and Rids getting 2. A good result for Hull, but you wouldn't think they probably needed 2 or 3 goals going back in to Blackburn. And the Widnes Wild losing out 5-2 to the Barons. Jolly, Byfoot getting 2. Haid, the ex-Wild player, getting 2. Carl Carruth, ever impressive season that he's had at Widnes, and Britain for the Wild. So moving into the second legs, the Stars getting last. So Whitley see off the D-side Dragons 7-5. Queenan 2, Wetherall, Griggers, Edgar, Holland, Harley, Jessen, Jones, McKinney, Dickinson and Hayek. All players that you'd expect to be on the score sheet. And the Warriors taking it 13-9 on aggregate. And we have the Solihull Barons, who were made to sweat a little bit on home ice against the Widnes Wild. I believe the Widnes Wild actually went 3-0 up, tying the score on the night. But the Barons took over, as you'd expect. Otterson, hat-trick, Jolly, Byfold, Moody and White. And for the Wild, Carruth, again, like I say, what a season he's had at NIHL North 1 level. Be certainly interesting to see if coach Martin Grubb takes him full time in the National League next year, or maybe a two-way again with a team in National North. In North 1. I wouldn't mind him at Billingham, I'll be completely honest. I think he's very, very talented. And player coach Joe Coulter getting on the score sheet as well. It was, however, the Barons who progressed to the finals with a 12-6 aggregate win. The Hawks, like I said, the Hull did need a 2, maybe 3 goal lead going into the away leg. I think Hawks on home ice were going to be too much. 5-1 on the night, 8-4 on aggregate. Luttwich, Barnes, Riddick with 2 and Pollitt. And the Billingham Stars eventually got their game going after an ice issue, which wasn't major, or it was a pain in the backside if dealt with properly and correctly at the time. of it being noticed, we wouldn't have even had an issue. Obviously, Nottingham got wind of it. They cried like babies from the moment that they arrived, pretty much all the way through the game. Never seen anything like it. And to be honest, I was never going to beat down on a team like this, but I generally don't know why the Nottingham Lions bothered. From both fixtures, they just weren't interested. You could see it was a pointless exercise for them. They were just fulfilling fixtures and just getting it over and done with, which I think is a bit shit and a bit disrespectful to the league, to other teams' owners who work hard, getting rosters put together, putting on match nights. But yeah, it was just pretty shit from Nottingham Lions last weekend. Didn't cover themselves in glory. They lost 5-1, 10-1 on aggregate. Moss, Sykes and Elder getting a couple and Galloway scoring. Soberton getting a consolation for the Lions. But like I said, I just didn't know what it was. They just didn't seem arsed, didn't seem interested. And like I say, just fulfilling a fixture to get it over and done with. But thankfully to the staff of the Stars who managed to get the ice issue sorted. Like I said, if we knew about it earlier or it was dealt with correctly, there would never have been an issue to begin with. But obviously once the Lions turned up, it was issue after issue for them. But common sense prevailed, the game went ahead. Nothing wrong with the ice in the end. After I was told numerous times it's just not playable, someone will break a leg. Well, safe to say no one broke a leg. The ice was very playable and it's the Stars who advance to their third in a row semi-final at playoffs. Second year in a row that they will play the Warriors in the semi-final of the playoffs. So let's just move over to what's what at Ice Sheffield this coming weekend. And to be fair, I think this weekend will be a treat for all fans in attendance. We do have the best four teams, in my opinion. Yes, I know D-side grabbed fourth spot. Fully expect them to be a lot better than they were this year. Just wasn't meant to be. But it is number 1 seed Billingham Stars against 5th seed Whitley Warriors on the 1 o'clock face-off, and the second game sees 2 versus 3 as it was between them all season long. The Solihull Barons versus the Blackburn Hawks, and I couldn't tell you how this could go. It could be Stars versus Barons, could be Stars versus Hawks, could be Warriors Barons, Warriors Hawks. Both games are 50-50. Both games will be on the team and how they feel and how they turn up on the day. If I was a betting man, I would probably say the Hawks would be favourites. They seem to do very well in these shorter sort of formats. Just look at the Morley Cup, first and second leg against the Barons and the first and second leg versus the Stars. Just a couple of games like that obviously suits them, like the shorter format. But yeah, that's it. That's our playoff final weekend. Like I say, the league season's done and dusted. Stars, well, not according to the table anyway, but Stars were the best team this year for me by a long, long way. They blew everyone away that stood in front of them convincingly on most nights, didn't play their best most of the time, yet still blew teams away. And yeah, we move into the last weekend of the season basically. It's a funny one, playoffs. It's never been one I've ever been desperate to win. Yeah, it's nice to win. It's always been, for me, a bit of an end of season party. I like to go and meet fans of other teams. I like to go around talking hockey with other people, other players, and just find out a bit of gossip about what could lie ahead for the summer and what might happen moving into next season. Which brings me to the rumours that have been doing a lot of circles. I know D-side Dragons have announced that they will bring a second team into the Laidler Conference. There was an article out not that long ago with an interview with Leeds, pretty much saying that they will be looking to have a second team running next season, looking likely to be a Division 2 team, but you can never say never. Lots of stuff happening around the Widnes Wild. What will happen with them next season? Do they still want to be in Division 1? Do they want to be in Division 2? So that's something to keep an eye out over the summer. Rumours that Joey Coulter could be a player coach in Leeds because of the connections he has there and living over that way. But again, just rumour, nothing concrete yet. The Telford Tigers, will they step up? They've got a very ageing roster. A lot of older blokes there, both imports, so well over 30. Is it Supers 35, Jets 43. I think another player, is it Paul Smith is his name? He's about 37. So a very aging roster, so it'll be interesting to see if they make the step up. I think the Tigers national team need them to be playing that higher level, for their under 18s to be playing at least, to be playing much more competitive hockey if they ever need to step up. So yeah, there's a lot of things floating around, and it'll be interesting to what will happen. But again, playoff weekend, this weekend, this is where you get to hear a lot of the crazy rumours, you get to hear a lot of the crazy stories. And if you are around, do come say hello. I'll probably have a camera around, walking around, asking fans and players alike questions and stuff like that, trying to get some content for the YouTube channel. I don't think I've got anything more to go over. I think I've caught up. I think I've got us ready for playoff weekend. Like I say, there'll be another episode next week, and hopefully there might be quite a bit of content video wise on the YouTube channel coming to you from the weekend. Maybe little interviews, little chit chats, like I say, with fans, but we'll see. But yeah, I just want to, again, a massive thank you to you guys. This is my first go at doing this. I didn't have a clue for the work or the effort that goes into it, and if I'm quite honest, I just thought it was a case of buying a microphone, plug it into my computer, start talking a load of crap about hockey, and that's that. But no, as you can hear in my voice, there's a lot of ums, a lot of stutters. They've all got to be edited out. This takes a lot of time to go through a 45-minute, even a half an hour long episode, which I can't thank Fiona enough. She does all the editing, makes me sound a lot better than I probably do sound. And she also pretty much nearly every week collates all the information that I need, which is quite hard to do. Like I said, Hull, Sheffield and Nottingham, they're an absolute nightmare for posting stuff out there, for getting goal scorers alike. Fingers crossed, touch wood, game day is up and running next season. But as usual, if you want to drop me a message, drop me an email, sticktothepod@gmail.com is the email address, or if you just want to drop me a private message, whether it's on Twitter, also known as X, Facebook, both of them places are Stick to the Pod, and also the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, does help a lot. It just helps with the algorithm, helps get the channel noticed. And let's get this channel spread right throughout the league. Let's get people listening, sending the questions in, sending in the comments in, because it'll only make the episodes a lot more fun for you guys, and you're just not sat there listening to my boring old voice. I am going to wrap it up there because I have been rambling on quite a while, a lot longer than I normally do. Like I say, you know the channels if you want to get in touch. If you want to meet up at the weekend, drop me a line, we'll sort something out. And do come and say hello at the weekend as well. I'll be somewhere around the Stars block, the media block, talking to anyone I can as well, getting the information I can get to give to you guys in future episodes. So thanks for listening, thanks for sticking for me in my first season, thanks for all your tips and advice. A couple of more episodes to go yet before we round off the season, so I'll see you at the weekend. Have a great time, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.